Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. Search for survivors. Thousands fear dead after Venezuela is rocked by back-to-back earthquakes, the most powerful in that country's modern history. The widespread destruction and the massive rescue effort underway tonight. Also developing tonight, a 23-year-old star of the Detroit Lions arrested on charges of armed robbery and kidnapping. The former University of Alabama All-American now potentially facing life in prison. And that extreme heat wave gripping Europe. Hundreds dead in Spain, record high temperatures in France and the UK. And the new warning tonight, what authorities are saying. Also, the possible World Cup history tonight for the U.S. men's national soccer team. What's at stake and why some star players are on the bench. The Marlins mystery dog found. What his owner is saying tonight about that viral moment. And the good stuff, teaching a new generation about service, one lawn at a time.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
Good evening. Thousands are feared dead in the rubble of a devastated Venezuela tonight as rescue teams claw through the aftermath of two major earthquakes last night. The first, a magnitude 7.2, struck near San Felipe, west of Caracas, about 6 p.m. local time. The second, just 39 seconds later, even stronger, a magnitude 7.5. At least 100 buildings collapsed in one coastal state alone, and this may go down as the deadliest quake in Venezuelan history. CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano has details.
Video captured the terrifying moment a building collapsed into the street, sending people running for their lives after a powerful magnitude 7.2 earthquake violently shook northern Venezuela.
It's the heaviest quake felt in Venezuela.
Then a second quake, nearly 3 times stronger, struck less than a minute later, causing panic at a street party. A catastrophic 1-2 punch that has devastated much of the northern coast. The coastal city of La Guaira is being described as a disaster zone. Inside the country's main airport, passengers were seen fleeing as parts of the terminal's roof collapsed. High-rises turned to rubble, entire facades peeled off, more than 100 buildings lying in ruin. Stunned survivors described the terror. I lost my daughter, my grandson, and my granddaughter, this woman said. She was due to be born in a month. Now the race is on to find survivors. Cheers erupted as this baby was pulled from the rubble alive. Others were not so lucky. Rescue workers, short on heavy equipment, were seen moving big chunks of rubble with their bare hands. The U.S. has pledged $150 million in aid and mobilized much of the needed support.
They have a much of collapsed buildings, and so they'll need a lot of help in terms of digging through that.
Officials feel a mounting death toll as thousands are still missing.
There are now growing frustrations over the lack of that heavy machinery that's needed to lift the pieces of those collapsed buildings where there's people still inside waiting to be saved. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez is asking the private sector to help with whatever equipment they can spare. Tony.
Lilia, you've reported extensively from Venezuela over the years. Your first thought when you heard about this?
Well, Tony, this is a country that is now facing a major crisis on top of a humanitarian crisis. It's a country where millions of people have been struggling to get access to reliable health care, to electricity, clean water, to a stable economy. All of those issues have now been made exponentially worse, and this could lead to another mass migration into those neighboring countries like Colombia or Brazil.
We'll keep covering it. Lilia, thank you very much. Turning overseas to that heat wave that's been smothering Europe for almost a week now, smashing records, shuttering schools and major tourist sites, and claiming hundreds of lives tied to exposure and drownings. Our Chris Livesay has the latest now from Paris.
7-month-old Eloi should be at his Paris nursery so his father can go to work, but neither place has air conditioning.
So it's a furnace out there.
It's a furnace, yes.
So they're here instead, inside a designated public cool room. While more than 9 out of 10 American homes have AC, here in France, it's only 1 in 4. European regulations often discourage it, especially if it affects historic buildings. That can include hospitals, like this one, opened in 1854, where only the most vulnerable patients are placed in rooms with AC.
So we do have air conditioning in the hospital, but not all the rooms and all the wards. It's a historical monument, so we cannot have alterations.
If more people had air conditioning, do you think we'd be seeing fewer patients in the hospital right now?
I suppose the answer would be yes.
Paris officials said today its hospitals were reaching saturation point as healthcare systems across Europe buckled under the weight of heat-related admissions. Authorities in Spain said the soaring temperatures could be linked to more than 200 deaths since Sunday. France put its healthcare system at its highest level of alert today, while the UK broke its record for its highest June temperature, which it only set yesterday. Tony?
Chris, thank you very much. We turn now to a big story in the NFL tonight. A 23-year-old defensive player for the Detroit Lions, a former first-round pick and All-American at the University of Alabama, has been arrested on charges of armed robbery and kidnapping. He's denying it all. CBS News correspondent Tom Hansen has more.
All right, my first case today is page 79, Terrion Arnold.
Detroit Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold, handcuffed and shackled, appeared in a Tampa court this afternoon. He faces charges of coordinating and directing a retaliation plot against 3 men. In February, Arnold went to the police accusing 2 of the men of stealing $250,000 of property from his Airbnb rental in Largo, Florida.
He's absolutely denying these allegations, and we're asking to have a bond hearing as soon as possible.
Police say the victims were lured to this apartment by Arnold's accomplices, where they were ambushed, held at gunpoint, and pistol whipped. They say Arnold watched the incident via live stream before he and 2 co-defendants arrived at the apartment. According to the Hillsborough County District Attorney's Office, 2 of the defendants are now in jail after pleading guilty. The 4 others involved are also being held without bond. Arnold, a star player for the University of Alabama,
here he is. Oh, yeah.
Was the 24th NFL draft pick in 2024. He was asked about the incident last week at a Lions minicamp.
Can you say anything about the off-the-field stuff that you've gone through?
No, I just want to focus on football.
In a statement, his management company says there is no credible evidence linking Mr. Arnold to these allegations.
And Tony, Tampa police have cleared the victims of robbery allegations. Arnold is expected in court for a bond hearing on Monday. He could face up to life in prison. Now, the Detroit Lions are not commenting on the matter at this time out of respect for the legal process, Tony.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. To Washington now, and that shouting match between President Trump and Senator Bill Cassidy, who stood up to question the president on Iran as the president shot back, telling him to sit down. Tonight, more on the senator's side of the story and a CBS News exclusive. Senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe has details.
Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy got into a shouting match with President Trump in a private meeting Wednesday, telling him the administration hasn't been honest with the American people about the war with Iran.
If you're not telling me answers, I'm going to push for those answers.
This morning, Cassidy told Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan that Trump was upset that he and 3 other Republicans voted with Democrats to block any further U.S. military action against Iran without congressional approval.
So when the president was berating the 4 people that voted for the War Powers Act, frankly, I'm not there to be berated. And the president wasn't invited to dish out verbal abuse.
But that's what he did.
I raised my hand. I said, Mr. President, do you just want, is that a rhetorical question that you're asking, why do we vote for it? Or are you really interested? He goes, I'm really interested. I stood up and I said, this is why. And I listed those objectives that I did not see being achieved and how the kind of endpoint of the war kept stretching out longer and longer. He began to speak over me. Unfortunately, I raised my volume to match his, and we spoke to each other like that. Or, shall we say, spoke at each other, not to each other. Now, I shouldn't have lost my temper. Nor should he. But, you know, my wife will tell you, every now and then my Irish temper gets the best of me.
The schism frustrates other Republicans who were hoping to spend this week touting passage of a bipartisan bill to provide more affordable housing.
I want to focus on the fact that we are making headway with getting our economy back on track. I want to focus on these things, not these unforced errors that we're having to deal with.
And tonight, an update on the reflecting pool. A National Park Service official says in a new court filing, damage to the pool caused by a sharp knife occurred on June 9th, days after the work was completed, but earlier than initially thought. There is still no evidence of the president's claim someone left a 350-foot gash in the pool's coating. Tony?
Ed, folks have noticed the gentleman sitting next to Secretary of State Marco Rubio at a recent high-level meeting in the UAE. What can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right. The secretary was meeting with the president of the United Arab Emirates Wednesday to discuss the war with Iran and to talk business. In this picture, you see the gentleman at Rubio's right is Michael Boulos, President Trump's son-in-law, married to Tiffany Trump. He is not a government official and does not have any security clearance. Rubio was asked why he was there.
He was just here because his brother lives here, and I'm a good friend of Michael, so we had a chance to catch up.
That doesn't exactly clear up why it was appropriate for Boulos to be at this meeting. CBS News has learned Boulos has been pursuing business deals in the Middle East and Africa. Tony?
Very interesting, Ed. Thank you very much. We turn now to the Supreme Court. Since the start of this session last October, the justices have heard arguments in dozens of cases and issued opinions in 59 of them, including rulings handed down today in a pair of immigration cases. CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford has been following all of it for us. Jan, good evening. Thank you for being here. So what stood out from today's decisions?
Well, I mean, Tony, the justices gave the president two big wins on his immigration policy, both cases dividing the court 6-3 along ideological lines. One of the cases allows the administration to turn away asylum seekers at the border before they set foot on U.S. soil. The other would allow it to end what's called temporary protected status for more than 350,000 Haitians and Syrians who came to the U.S., some more than a decade ago, in the wake of natural disasters and violence. The administration said temporary protected status means temporary and sought to end those removal protections, and the justices agreed that those decisions are generally up to the president. Now, the court also put a stop to lawsuits that could total billions of dollars against Monsanto for failing to warn consumers that the weed killer Roundup could cause cancer. Since the EPA has never found that the active ingredient in Roundup causes cancer, the court said that Monsanto wasn't required to put that information to the contrary on its warning labels.
You know, Jan, here we are, end of June. The court traditionally ends its term right around now, but there are a number of cases left. What are you looking for?
Yeah, we've got 8 to go, including 4 of the biggest of the term: birthright citizenship, transgender participation in girls' sports, and whether presidents have the power to fire members of independent executive agencies or the Federal Reserve Board. Now, the justices would be back here on the bench on Monday for more opinions, and they'll probably add one more day next week. Tony?
And we'll see you next week, Jan. Thank you very much. A fiery collision involving 4 semi-trucks on the New Jersey Turnpike this morning killed one of the drivers, police said. The wreckage and heavy smoke snarled the morning commute on one of America's busiest roads, backing up traffic for 15 miles. Officials said the accident happened around 4 a.m. No word yet on the cause. Still ahead on the broadcast tonight, the U.S. looking for a record-breaking win tonight in the World Cup. Why are some of the key players getting benched? And baseball's most wanted dog has been found. What his best friend says about the viral moment at the Marlins game. Tonight, the U.S. men's national soccer team is facing Turkey in a match that, no matter the outcome, will be their last before moving on to the next round. But the stakes are still high, as CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdez reports, including pride, momentum, and a potential record.
Oh, when the Yanks go marching in. Woo!
It's a party for the USA tonight, a stress-free match for the Americans against Turkey.
It's no longer a lose-win situation. It doesn't really matter what happens. The vibes are perfect. Everyone's here to have a good time.
No matter the result, the U.S. is moving on to the knockout round of the tournament. So these 3 friends are here to enjoy an all-day victory lap.
I think I had my first Modelo at 9 a.m.
But the unanswered question today is, how long will star forward Christian Pulisic play? A calf injury kept him off the pitch in Seattle, but he was back at team practice this week and wants to prove he's ready for the knockouts.
It just gives you chills, you know. It's so much fun just to be here, be a part of this team, whether I'm playing or not. I want to be a part of the group. I want to get on the field.
4 other U.S. stars who've already picked up yellow cards in previous matches will start on the bench tonight. Another yellow would disqualify them in the round of 32 when everything is on the line. But winning its group means an easier path ahead.
It is certainly a promising path to go into a quarterfinal stage, for example, that hasn't been done since 2002 and is the furthest the U.S. team has ever gone in the modern version of the World Cup.
Optimism fueling the team to win again.
You don't want to go into a knockout round having like a bad feeling of how the last game went, so I just think it's very important to try and continue to ride the wave of a good performance.
Now, look, if you're wondering the value of tonight's match, we'll get this. In nearly a century of the World Cup, the U.S. has never won all 3 group stage matches. So tonight, it could make history. Tony?
And Nicole, who can fans expect to see on the field tonight?
Well, they could definitely expect to see some World Cup rookies get some minutes on the pitch tonight, hopefully to make a name for themselves, but also to prove just how deep a bench this team really has. Tony?
All right, you got 4 Uncle Sams with boxing gloves on behind you, Nicole. I'll let you talk to them. Thank you very much tonight. Up next, Dolly Parton's empire, now so large it includes a piece of Interstate 65. Kind of. We will explain. The lead singer of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, an icon of the 60s and 70s, David Clayton Thomas, died in Toronto Wednesday.
Spinning wheel, got to go round.
That's him singing Spinning Wheel, which won a Grammy for the group. Were you at Woodstock? They were, and their album beat out the Beatles' Abbey Road at the Grammys the next year. David Clayton Thomas was 84 years old. And he's been found, ladies and gentlemen, the Marlins mystery dog, the one who didn't get the hot dog, the one who watched with those sad eyes as another dog chowed down at Bark in the Park night. The Marlins put out a call for that canine, and our friends at Inside Edition found him. Here is 6-year-old Jonah and his person.
That was a crazy video. He just stared at it. And it's funny, I was totally oblivious to that whole thing going on.
Good news, Jonah. Your person has accepted the Marlins' offer of a dream day at the ballpark. Send pictures. And in addition to over 3,000 songs and an amusement park, Dolly Parton's empire now includes a truck stop. She was there for the opening of Dolly's Tennessean Travel Stop along I-65 south of Nashville, where you can pick up a cup of Ambition coffee and other Dolly-inspired merch. Up next, the good stuff, the life lessons of lawn mowing. We're back with the good stuff. How far can you go on a single act of service? Rodney Smith Jr. here is trying to go all the way to the White House. A decade ago, Smith noticed an elderly neighbor struggling to cut the grass, and after stopping to help, he founded Raising Men and Women Lawn Care Service. It's a nonprofit based in Huntsville, Alabama, that has since signed up thousands of kids, each committed to mowing 50 free lawns for people who need that kind of extra hand. He's now hoping those people might include the president in honor of America's 250th birthday. He posted online asking the White House if he could stop by with a few kids and this American flag-themed mower and cut the grass. The president has allowed this sort of thing before, though unclear from the picture whether he liked it. Smith has already done a practice run at the state capitol in Alabama, and someone from the White House has responded with questions, he tells us, apparently considering the request. I mean, that sounds promising. It seems like this might happen.
It might happen, and hopefully it does. I just want to show kids like a smart of kindness can lead you to the White House.
The White House is a pretty big lawn. How many kids do you think it would take to do it?
I'm not too sure, but hopefully we won't be required to mow the whole White House.
If it does happen, Smith says it will be proof that you can go anywhere in life through service. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Thank you for watching. Good night.